Hi, and welcome back to Storytime with Kit. And on today's episode, we're going to read Little Red Riding Hood, story adapted by Lucy Kincaid, illustrated by Eric Rowe. Let's go! Little Red Riding Hood's mother was packing a basket with eggs and butter and homemade bread. "Who is that for?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "For Grandma," said Mother. "She has not been feeling well." Grandma lived alone in a cottage in the middle of the wood. "I will take it to her," said Little Red Riding Hood. She put on her red cape with the red hood and picked up the basket. "Make sure you go straight to the cottage," said Mother as she waved goodbye, "and do not talk to any strangers." Little Red Riding Hood meant to go straight to the cottage, but there were so many wildflowers growing in the wood. She decided to stop and pick some for Grandma. Grandma liked flowers. They would cheer her up. "Good morning," said a voice at her elbow. It was a wolf. "Where are you taking these goodies?" he asked, peeping inside the basket. "I'm taking them to my grandma," said Little Red Riding Hood, quite forgetting what her mother had said about talking to strangers. "Lucky grandma," said the wolf. "Where does she live?" "In the cottage in the middle of the wood," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Be sure to pick her a nice big bunch of flowers," said the wolf, and hurried away. The wolf went straight to Grandma's cottage. He knocked at the door. "Who is there?" called Grandma. "It is I, Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf in a little girl voice. "Then lift up the latch and come in," called Grandma. Grandma screamed loudly when she saw the wolf's face peering round the door. He was licking his lips. She jumped out of bed and into the cupboard and locked herself in. The wolf picked up her frilly bed cap, which had fallen to the floor, and put it on his own head. He pushed his ears inside the cap, then climbed into Grandma's bed. He pulled the covers up round his neck, then sat and waited for Little Red Riding Hood to come. Presently there was a knock at the door. "Who is there?" he called, in a voice that sounded like Grandma's. "It is I, Little Red Riding Hood," replied Little Red Riding Hood. "Then lift up the latch and come in," called the sly old wolf. Little Red Riding Hood lifted the latch and went in. "Are you feeling better, Grandma?" she asked. "Yes, dear, I am," said the wolf. "Let me see what you have in the basket." As the wolf leant forward, the frilly bed cap slipped and one of his ears popped out. "What big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf, turning towards her. "What big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood, beginning to feel a little tiny bit frightened. "All the better to see you with," said the wolf, with a big grin. "What big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood, now feeling very frightened indeed. "All the better to eat you with," said the wolf, and he threw back the covers and jumped out of bed. "You are not my grandma," screamed Little Red Riding Hood. "No, I am not. I am the big bad wolf," growled the wolf in his own voice, "and I am going to eat you up." "Help! Help!" screamed Little Red Riding Hood as the wolf chased her out of the cottage and into the wood. The woodcutter heard her screams and came to the rescue. As soon as the wolf saw the woodcutter's big wood-cutting axe, he put his tail between his legs and ran away as fast as he could. Little Red Riding Hood told the woodcutter what happened. "Where is your grandma now?" asked the woodcutter. "I do not know," sobbed Little Red Riding Hood. "Perhaps that horrid wolf had eaten her." But when they got back to the cottage, they heard the sound of knocking coming from inside the cupboard, and a voice asking if it was safe to come out. "It is me, Grandma," called Little Red Riding Hood. Only when Grandma was really sure did she unlock the cupboard door. "What a lucky escape we both had," said Little Red Riding Hood as she hugged Grandma. "What a lucky escape indeed." And that's the end of Little Red Riding Hood. Hope you enjoyed watching and listening to Storytime with Kit. Make sure to like and subscribe, and happy reading!